Hello and welcome to the Talk Tonight podcast. And today I'm joined with Councillor Jack to discuss the whole venue closures 2 weeks on. So 2 weeks ago, you may have heard that the Welly Club and Polar Bear were closing in Hull to grassroots venues, which mean the world to the city. So Jack, would you like to just explain a bit more about what these venues do mean for the city?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. I think it was a real culture shock, wasn't it? Like 2 weeks ago, we saw two beloved venues that are visited by, most in the city. They're like household names across the areas, and they just kind of went like that. And the next day, saw it broke on the BBC that they've gone, and it was little to no fight from anyone. And it's quite sad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Welly was actually gaining a sort of reputation as being a venue for a lot of bands, upcoming bands to tour when they go on the UK tours. And to be honest, I thought it was quite a popular venue, so I was incredibly shocked. But obviously, you're part of the council in Hull City. I'd just like to know, what are you doing to try and help save these venues?
So as soon as we found out, we our shadow culture secretary is Rob Pritchard. He wrote to the Minister for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, saying, coronavirus has meant you've been giving money out to just about every industry going. We know you've granted stuff to the culture and arts venue, but please can you step in Hull and make an intervention, because these are two beloved places, two beloved venues. And as you said, they've both really established themselves in the culture, arts and music scene. They weren't just nightclubs and pubs. Could you step in and try and help save our culture?
Amazing. Have you heard anything back, or has there been any updates?
We've not heard from the government, but we've definitely heard from a lot of people, keen to get involved. And now I think at this point it's about just bringing everyone together and building like a kind of broad church of support, because no one wants to see these venues like fall apart and not come back. No one wants to see that in Hull. So if we bring everyone together, including the MPs, including the local council, including the owners of these places, there is still hope, I think.
Yeah, well, Polar Bear in particular is quite important for the whole music scene, in the sense that it runs a sesh, which from where I'm sat, offers a massive injection of music, culture and money into the city. So I'd say it's quite imperative that that venue is saved. So on the day the whole venue's closed, it was also announced that some venues in Manchester were closing. The Deaf Institute and Gorilla Club, they've actually been saved since by an outside investment. So has there been any talk or any news on possible investors for these whole venues?
Yeah, I think there has been talks here and there about people interested in saving them. And I think eventually, they will be saved, because these are treasured venues and they've got so much to give. I think at this point it's just making sure the issue is known, it's out there, and like we won't let this just happen, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It has to be done.
Yeah.
So are you able to just explain, probably in more depth than I could, about what these venues actually offer to the city?
Yeah, so obviously there's been a pandemic that we all know about, and it involved the closure of bars, restaurants, just about everything. And as those things have started to reopen, we've seen like our economy slowly restart. But this, kind of nighttime economy, the culture sector has really just been left behind, and the government only announced funding for it a couple of weeks ago. But as we've seen with two venues here and over in Manchester, it is too little too late. And so we really just have to work together to make sure that the kind of culture that we've brought up since 2017 isn't just wiped completely off the face of the city because of a pandemic that is out of all of our control.
Yeah, I completely agree. It does seem like everything is, been saved, or is gaining help from the government, and this sort of arts industry has just been kind of left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a testament to the fact that we woke up one morning and we lost Hull box office, Polar Bear and Welly, because a bigger firm had gone into administration because the government didn't act quickly enough.
Yeah. And obviously Hull recently has been somewhat of, well, obviously we've got City of Culture. But in terms of like the music scene, it's been massive recently with the bonus
Yeah,
arena coming in.
yeah.
What has the bonus arena meant for the city from where you're sat?
So it's been, we've had loads of stuff on there, and before the pandemic, there was still loads of stuff. I know they're moving, they're having to delay everything, but it's not just the bonus arena. It's things like Trinity Live that the council put on. It's things like the Sesh. It's that kind of it's grassroots music, and the building and the bonus arena has attracted all of these kind of great bands to come here, and it's kind of promoted a bit of more of an ethos for the rest of the city, like we are a music city, like we are home to the Sesh, home to Trinity Live, home to Humber Street Sesh and Freedom Festival. We should be owning these things, and it'd be really just sad to see it all kind of washed away.
Yeah, I think people often overlook Hull as a somewhat music city, but the history behind it is massive. And in recent times, venues have been closing. Obviously, Fruit closed down on Humber Street,
Yeah,
and now we've lost these two venues also. Hopefully, the same doesn't happen for Adelphi, which is another very grassroots venue in the city.
of
But
course.
are you able to just explain about what could possibly be the future for these venues if they did
So I think
close?
I think that there needs to be intervention at some level, if not every level, just to kind of give that safeguard and guarantee that we're not going to let this happen. And I know they can't open yet, but when they can, there will be doors to open, and that kind of sentiment. Because you're right about Adelphi. I don't know their situation, but the doors will have been closed for so long now, and it's the same with the rest of the nighttime economy in Hull. And it's just we've just got to say, like, our legacy isn't going to be kind of washed out and stomped away, and that when this pandemic does end, there will be a nightlife economy, there will be culture, arts, and music to come back to when we're in Hull.
Yeah, because obviously Hull University is a massive drawing point for students, and so is the
Mm-hmm.
nightlife. So if you're
Yeah.
removing these parts of the nightlife culture in Hull, would that stop people going to the university? It's not just the impact it has on music, it's the impact it has going up and up and up. And obviously, we've just lost a major selling point in the fact Hull City have been relegated to League One. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I think that shouldn't be just washed over as well. That is huge. When we're in the Premier League, obviously we had 5,000-6,000 supporters from a different city coming over. We had a packed out stadium every time, and they would go into the city centre and they would spend. And it's like this kind of coronavirus, all getting relegated, and now a loss to the music scene. It's really making up a really daunting cocktail for what is going to happen afterwards.
yeah, it's been absolutely awful. So, we don't normally talk football on this channel, but I know yourself, you're a massive Hull City fan.
Yeah,
So,
quite.
I suppose we should talk about what has happened.
It is. It's really sad. It's sad from a local economy perspective, and that's what is interesting to focus upon for me. I was reading up about it, and like there is obviously going to be a correlation between a local economy and how well a football club like Hull City does, because we saw our attendance go down to 10,000 in the Championship. When we're in the Premier League, I had the chance to go to Wembley, the FA Cup. We had the chance to welcome huge clubs and their supporters here to the city, and that can be nothing but a gain for that economy that we're talking about here. And people get to visit Hull, and people, even if it's going for a quick pint at one of the local pubs, that's still thousands of people putting money into the economy. And it's really sad to see the downfall and where we are now.
It's just the small things like the Deep, a huge attraction in Hull, and people would have visited. Like, oh, we're going to Hull today. It's an evening kickoff. We'll go visit the
Yeah,
Deep during the day. Just stuff like that, which will suffer.
yeah, and it's like the more nuanced things as well. Like Hull trains, for example, they run a direct route from Hull to London in about 2.5 hours. They, on a match day where it's a Chelsea, Arsenal, or Tottenham, West Ham, would obviously they'd be shipping loads of fans up, and that kind of thing has got to have an impact on the local economy in so many different ways.
Yeah, because it's not just football. It's the whole city in general.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but if we are going to talk about the football, a lot of the fans blame the owners. I don't know what your stance is on this. Because I'm not too up to date with my Hull City news, but as far as I'm aware, they are still trying to sell the club.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's an institutional problem. It's unfair on the fans what's happened, and when a football club is so ingrained in the culture of a city, you have to just always think of the fans first, and that's something that clearly hasn't been done when they're all voicing their disagreement on social media, on and off the pitch, and there's been 2 protests as well as we got relegated and that kind of thing, and it is really sad to see.
Yeah, I feel like the main, the last real, shot in the knee was when Steve Bruce left.
That
Uh,
was quite a rough time.
yeah, because a lot of people give Steve Bruce stick, but as far as I'm saying, he was a great manager for Hull City. And
Yeah,
then
my dad loved him.
and then
Oh, it was great.
he just left because he disagreed with the owners, and it's just been downhill ever since. Can you see any recovery?
Of course, there's always hope. I'm an optimist after all. But we'll just have to see what League One birds. I know as soon as you're allowed back in the stadium, I'll be over there watching us to God, a crowd of 500 people probably.
So you're councillor, and obviously we've grown up similar age in school all the way through to college. So what are your aims in life? What do you want to do?
Oh, that is the toughest question yet. I'm 22. I'm still quite young, so I'm still kind of thinking about where I want to go, what I want to do. I definitely want to stay in Hull for the foreseeable future, because this city is, I was born and bred here, and that's what it's all about. And I do love it here. I went to London for a short spell. That was only temporary, and I couldn't hack the London life.
So, I mean, yeah, like you just said, moving to London, I've been to London a few times only to visit, and it's too fast-paced, way too fast-paced for me. Everyone's in such a rush to get everywhere. And there was one moment, we're going down into a tube, and I'm just walking at normal pace. Someone goes rushing past and knock you. When you get to a platform, and you end up waiting for the same tube, and it's like you've not got anywhere faster.
It's everyone has got to be somewhere, and they've got to be there fast. I don't get the London culture. It's not for me. It's not for me right now. It might be in the future, but I was really happy to come back up to Hull and obviously get elected to be a councillor and represent the city. And that kind of thing you can't get in London, especially when this place is home.
Yeah, definitely. So what actually got you into politics? Where did your interest begin?
So I joined the Lib Dems when I was 16 after the 2015 general election, and soon after I was out campaigning around where I live, just delivering leaflets about literally repaving roads, sorting out litter, fly tipping, and all that kind of thing. Just the basic local stuff, and I just got really involved. I did politics at A level. I had a great teacher who got me really into it, and just everything went from there. And then I just decided to do a degree in it, and that was a rough 4 years, but it was good. I don't regret it. I don't regret going into politics at all, to be fair.
So what are your aims in politics? Is it Prime Minister? Do you want to be up there, or is it just you'd rather keep it local and just do what's best for your city?
I think I'll keep it local for now. I don't want to be Prime Minister, anything at the moment, to be honest. I've already got dark circles around my eyes from what I do now. I don't think I'll be going for much more at the moment.
Well, Jack, I wish you all the best in the future. I'm sure you're going to have an absolutely budding career in politics. And thank you for your time.
Absolutely no worries, Dan. You're a legend. Thanks for having me on Talk Tonight.
No problem. So this has been Talk Tonight podcast. If you enjoyed, you can leave a like, subscribe, and go follow Jack on socials as well. Cheers for watching.